Very interesting. I see your hobbies are drinking, smoking weed, and all types of ill shit.
Yeah.
You're live now. Well, you're now live.
Let's do it. All right. It's Podject Los Angeles and my guest, Alexander Void. What's up, bro?
Hi, I just got out of work. I ate a lot of pasta. I'm drinking a little bit of coffee before I drink the absinthe. What absinthe are you drinking?
Oh, yeah, I'll show you. I got absinthe. This is my absinthe. You have your absinthe too?
Yeah.
All right, let's see yours. Okay. So this is it. It's called absinthe ordinaire or ordinary. Maybe it's just pronounced ordinary. But I got it, or I thought it would be a cool idea to get absinthe because we're going to be doing a ghost podcast. And when I think ghost and I think spirits and liquors that go with it, I think absinthe for some reason. That was like my first thing. Absinthe.
Absinthe. Refined. Just a regular absinthe. Refined. Manson.
Manson. Is that another absinthe?
So Marilyn Manson made his own absinthe, which is...
Oh, that's right. You told me about that, yeah. You want to do a quick little introduction of how we know each other, where we met, and a little bit of background of how we decided to do this podcast?
Okay, so I guess I'm going to out myself with my human job. I never really talked about my human job in the real world. But
if you don't want to say specifics, it's totally cool. I don't want to out anything anyways also, so okay. Up to your discretion. Say whatever you want.
But yeah, I guess it's good that I'm starting it then. So just one day at my human job, you just walk in and what the hell do we even talk about? I think we just started talking about absinthe, right? We just somehow jumped into that. And I think we just talked about what's the drink of your choice. Because we ask questions like that all the time, like in my job. We say some stupid shit like, what's your favorite Cardi B song? You know, it's like we just ask stupid shit. So I think what happened between you and I is just somehow we ended up just talking about absinthe. And then I saw that you were super interested because I was surprised that you knew what absinthe is because every time I bring it up, nobody knows. So I was actually pretty excited. So I started going all out and just like, okay, I'm connecting with this guy. Talking about fucking absinthe. So I guess that's it. We just connected through absinthe.
The absinthe. And you know, we were talking about how it was so hard to do. Like, are we supposed to do research and find ghost stories? Are we supposed to do research and figure out like where they're from? So the only research I really found that I guess I'll read a little bit before we get into like our opinions about it is I found like a very like standard definition of like what spirits and ghosts are, and it's just a little bit just to kind of start us off because it'll give us like a good like foundation of what we're gonna be talking about. So what it says is, and it's from medium.com, which is a cool name already, so I probably trust it. It says, what is a ghost? What we understand as a ghost today has roots in the myths and beliefs of ancient cultures. Ghosts were and sometimes are believed to be the spirit of a person that exists after the body has died. It is because of these beliefs that funeral rituals initially took place and were practiced as a passage of rites into the next world, a way to say goodbye and prevent the spirit from remaining on earth and haunting the living. Further to this, existence of ghosts is believed because of the human experience of feeling haunted or being in the presence of a spirit. This can range from hearing, seeing, or other explainable spooky happenings. For example, an inanimate object that moves freely on its own accord is often cited as being caused by a ghost. So that's like just a little brief, and we already know that basically, but what I wanted to ask you is, because we're going to be talking about what we think a ghost is, what we think a spirit is, do we believe in them, and to what extent, and why they exist. So what's your thoughts and what's your opinion of ghosts and why they, just like what's your thoughts about ghosts in general? I guess we'll start off with.
Staying on brand completely. Once you die, there's the void. There's nothing. It's completely nothing. Once you're dead, is the computer shutting off. It's dead. So I don't believe in ghosts. And it sucks because I have ghost experiences.
You're saying you don't believe in ghosts?
I don't believe in ghosts.
Do not believe in ghosts. Okay.
Once you die, you die. You're dead, you're dead. You're gone.
Okay.
But see, this is the part that gets hard because there's a whole like logical scientific side of me, but it's also the I haven't talked about this obviously. This is our first podcast together. But my dad's a pastor. I was raised Christian for my whole life. Like my whole family, super Christian.
Right.
So like I do have that stuff in my brain where like there is because also Catholicism was a big part of my life too, because my dad was very into like, okay, if you're going to be Christian, you got to know the enemy. Kind of thing. Like he actually studied a bunch of stuff, and that's what got me into study stuff. So like there's a side of me where like I have this what if. So that's where we're like perfect in this podcast, since like I'm like, no, I stand here, but there's a possibility because of my upbringing. Like there is a purgatory, there is a heaven, there is a hell, there is a reason why things talk to you or try to communicate with you. Yet in my brain, I'm like, no, science. What are we talking about? That can't exist. A computer dies, is dead. You know, it's like, once it's shut off, it's shut off. This TV's not going to turn itself on and a girl's going to crawl through it. Like it doesn't exist.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once you're dead, that's it. Done and dealt with. Okay. I mean, maybe I'm somewhere in between. I think, I don't know if I believe so much if there's like a definitive, purgatory, heaven, hell. I think there is something to say about what happens to you after you die. I don't think it has so much to do with I think something with the spirit and soul. Like the whole concept of a spirit and soul, like I know everyone has different opinions about what a soul is, or if it exists, or if it's even a tangible thing. So I think some of that still does exist. I don't know up to what extent. I don't know why people would have unfinished business on Earth. Like I think like everyone technically would have unfinished business. I don't know if it's positive or negative or whatever. So I've never seen ghosts. I've never seen spirits. So firsthand, I can't say like I'm 100% a believer. I want to believe, like the concept and idea of it is very interesting. I think that it could exist to people. I think the concept of it is such a well-known concept that people who do have loved ones that they were very attached to and they passed away, I think they almost like have an emotional connection to their soul, quote unquote, their soul. And so they almost like create something in their mind so they see or hear things. Because for me, there's a bunch of crazy stuff that, you know, happens in your mind when you're like half asleep, half awake, that you could imagine. Like the imagination of the human brain is also a crazy concept. Like you could imagine and hear things that aren't actually happening, but it doesn't actually mean it's a ghost or a spirit. It could just mean like it's background noise or previous thoughts or like something you heard earlier and just your brain kind of like releasing it at a random time. So I'm half in, half out. So I'm open to it. I don't know if I'm going to say that I 100% believe in anything for the afterlife. I think something happens. I don't know if it's like reincarnation or what, but I'm open to theories.
So so ideally you're hoping it's just simply not the end.
I hope so. I think I also hope so because I don't know. I'm getting to an age where I'm like about to be 30 years old, and I feel like I have about I don't think I'm gonna make it to 120. I just say 3 times more of a life. Like I'll say if I get it to 90, I'm like in good shape. Wow. If I get to 90, it's not that much longer. Like I'm already a third of the way. So I only have 2/3 more of a life, on Earth of existence. So I feel like it's not enough time, like it's not enough time because from ground zero to where I am now, like I'm just skimming the surface of like what the meaning of life is and what my purpose is and all that stuff. Like there's so much more that I know I can't fulfill it in 60 years or even comprehend it in 60 years. I want to hope, whether there actually is something more, I want to hope that there's something more. Like this is like phase 2 of existence, whether it's physical or non-physical type of thing.
Coming back to something you talked about, where like you kind of perceive something that you just imagine is there.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone could relate with the whole, like, sometimes you're just walking, like let's say you're walking your dog, just walking home or whatever,
Right.
and you kind of feel like someone's watching you. And you kind of start just walking faster. You know, it's like, I think that has something to do with it too. Like you kind of just imagine something, like at least I had that where I'm like walking home or something, and I'm like, somebody's watching me, someone's gonna stop.
You feel
walking.
something.
Yeah, it's like, even though like it may actually be nothing, but you have that feeling that something's watching or someone's watching you. So I think that plays a lot with it too, because you actually this state that sometimes you just kind of perceive something and imagine it's real, and that's just in your eyes, so it's in your head, so it kind of is seen as real.
Yeah.
So I think that's a lot to do with ghosts as well. Like I think a lot of times we want to see our dead aunt or our dead grandma or our dead whoever, loved one. We kind of want to see that. And something interesting too that you didn't look up, but it's a history thing. Houdini was known for actually trying to, what's it called? Like remove credibility from mediums.
Okay.
So Houdini was known for that because Houdini is obviously a magician, so he knows the tricks and stuff. So he actually made it a mission. If you look into Houdini, he made it a mission to actually like defraud all these people. To like be like, you're a fraud, you're a fraud, you're a fraud. You don't have psychic powers. You're not medium. You do not feel anything. You do this on purpose and so on. So
Okay.
there's that. So I used to do that a lot. I don't know why.
When you were saying when you're walking and you feel like something is watching you or lingering over you, so if it isn't in fact ghosts or spirits, what do you think it is? Do you think it's just your mind or your perception of something watching you, or what do you think it actually is?
Yeah, I think 100% is my mind. It's just like me imagining something. It's just like it's like when you wake up and you see like this shadowy figure, like in the corner of whatever, and then when you turn on the light, it's actually a towel or something. Like you kind of just imagine something, and then you decide that's real. I think that's really what it is. So like you kind of just allow your mind to just keep going.
Okay.
And I think that's truly what it is. I think that is just like you kind of allow it.
Yeah, and I think so too. I think the mind is a very complicated computer that it could basically make you think or believe whatever you want, and it'll make you see and hear things. So a lot of it, I think, is just the mind going on a tangent. If a close friend or family member told you that they had an intense experience where they were 100% convinced they saw a ghost or spirit, and they had evidence, like I don't know how concrete of evidence, but they told you and explained it to you, what would you say or would you believe it?
We have those stories. We have those stories today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple of ghost stories that honestly, I do believe her. Like, I do truly believe my sister. My sister's the one who saw it. And
but you believe her believing it, or do you believe the actual concept of it?
See,
it's two different things.
She was 8 years old. That's the hardest part.
Oh, I see.
So
anything could have happened way back then.
Trust a child's mind.
Yeah, it's a complicated one.
Because even to this day, she says it's real. It really happened. And like, I believe she believes it, but is it actually real?
Well, let's just hear the story. It was a perfect setup. Let's just get into it. What was the story, and why do you believe it?
Well, first off, there's little ghost emojis in the chat, because I posted one, and then 2 people posted one I thought was really cute. So more ghost emojis. And
more ghost emojis. Bring them on.
There's also little skulls. That's cute. Okay, so jumping into it. So my older sister, her name's Jasmine. Sadly, she's not in the chat. So what happened is we used to live in the ghetto. We used to live like really, really poor downtown LA. So we lived in a house behind a house. So we lived in a back house.
Okay.
And so this house is pretty big. It's pretty big. It has a couple of bedrooms. Actually, literally had 2 bedrooms. So my parents, my mom and my dad, lived in 1 bedroom, which is connected to us. We live in this bedroom in an L shape. So my sister had this bed. I had this bed.
Okay.
Under me is a closet, and this closet was where the devil lived. Because again, we were born religious and stuff like that, and this closet had no light, so it's just darkness. Once you open the closet, it's just dark. So even when we have to get clothes in the daytime, it's still dark because there's no windows or anything.
Okay.
It's just this weird shit, pretty much. But anyways, so the light always shines through like her window, so you can see me a little bit here. You can see like a patch of light here, always this L shape. So she told me one day, and she told me this is the second time it happened. One day, she just woke up randomly. The devil door was open, which is a closet door. It was just wide open. We always close it because we're afraid of it. But it was wide open.
How does the door? Is it like a one door open or a double door or like a fold?
One door like this.
Okay, just a single standard door. Okay.
Yeah, standard door. And I'm here, so it opens like to my legs, kind of thing.
Okay.
So I'm there. The double door's open. Double door. I like to.
The double door.
So apparently there's something, and it's already there, standing in front of me. Okay. Sorry, I got a text from work. So apparently it's just standing in front of me looking at me. And my sister just wakes up and looks at it. And it's just a dark figure. It looked like a figure of a man, no cloak or anything. It's just a man figure.
This is what she's describing to you, not what you saw.
What she described to me, yeah.
Okay.
I saw nothing. And it's just standing there holding a knife like this. So it's just standing normally holding a knife, just looking at me as I sleep. And she said she couldn't move. She was just watching this thing, just looking at me for like a good 10 seconds. Or
It's looking at you, or when you say me, are you meaning your sister?
No, myself, me.
Oh, it's looking at you, and she's watching it look at you.
My sister's here looking at this figure that's looking at me.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm asleep. So apparently she's saying, pretty much what she's trying to state is that this came from our closet. And it's just now just looking at me. And it's just holding a knife. And because the moon shines on us, she still can't see the figure. Like, it just looks dark. It looks like a shadow figure. There is nothing. There's no cloth-looking thing. There's no texture whatsoever. There's like this weird smoke figure. But the knife is dripping blood. So that's important. It dripped blood slowly. And she's just watching this thing. And then finally she started to scream. So she finally started to scream. And I think looked at her and just disappeared. Like it just faced her, still dark figure. Disappeared. My parents come in from the room, like their door's like right there, just rush in. Like, what the hell happened? Because we live in a bad area, so they're like always on their toes.
Right.
A lot of shit happened. I was during the LA riots and stuff, so like a lot of shit happened during that time. So they rush in and they're freaking out, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And she just kept yelling. It's like, it's trying to kill Alex. Like, it's trying to kill Alex, like over and over again. She's crying and stuff. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I'm just a child. And like, I just keep hearing somebody's trying to kill me. So I'm like freaking the fuck out. They're trying to calm me down too. And then it kind of just ended. We're calming everybody. And it kind of ended with my sister, like them telling her it's just a bad dream. But she keeps pointing at these drops of redness on the floor. Our floor was like this weird, not necessarily tile. It kind of seems like that shitty plastic that you put on top of
like linoleum.
That's that what it's called? So
It's like it looks like tile, but it's like plastic almost.
Yeah, it's just a flat plastic thing that people put in their kitchen floors.
Yeah.
That's
probably
exactly.
linoleum.
Yeah, that's what our room had.
Okay.
It was like this weird, like off-white, and it had this weird spots of redness, like 2 drops of just this burgundy color. It was like dried blood. And so she kept pointing at that and yelling at my mom. And it wasn't there before. And my mom kept trying to like wipe it off and stuff, and it doesn't come off. She tried to spray stuff on it. It doesn't come off. So nothing came off. So to the day that we left, those 2 drops was still there of what is blood. That's that story.
And you saw the drops afterwards, and you think it's blood too?
I saw the drops. I could remember the drops in my brain right now, like even to this day. Like I remember looking at it. I remember trying to like scrape with my thumb. Like I remember as a kid, I was trying to scrape it off and noticed that it's like part of the design, which doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Like it's in there, like it's laminated in there, like it's in there.
Like it's in there. Okay. So I mean, so how long ago did your sister tell you this, and what did you think about it, and what did you tell your sister about it?
She told me right after, like a couple of days after. I remember that, and I kept telling her I don't want to hear it.
This is you being also like 8, 9, 10 years old.
I was. She's a year older than me, so she was 8. I was 7.
Okay.
So yeah, so like I remember still being a kid and just be like, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. Yeah. So there was that, and then I remember she told me recently again, like I want to say like 15 years later, and then even now, like probably like a year later, we talked about it again. I'm like, do you remember this? Is this real?
And she still believes it wholeheartedly.
Completely.
And what do you tell her about it? You still tell her I don't want to hear about it?
No, I tell her like I want to hear more now. Like now that I'm more skeptical, a lot more like I don't believe in it. Riley says it's creepy. So now that I want to hear more about it, like I want more details. I'm like, do you see? This is how I got to that situation where like I know it's just a ghastly figure because I asked her, did you see anything? Did you see any shapes? Did it look like a white man? Did it look like, what did it look like? Like, what is it? Did it have a top hat? What the hell did it have?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, it just looked like a person. And I'm like, does it have hair? And she's like, well, kind of. It looked like it kind of had hair. And I'm like, what does that mean? What kind of hairstyle? She's like, I don't know. It doesn't look like anything. I'm like, it's like Backstreet Boys. Like I was like,
did he have a fiddle? Did he have a goatee like the robot from Futurama? What was the deal?
On his dick. Like, so what was going on? Like, and yeah, she had nothing. She's just like, it looked like this weird ghastly figure. Because before she didn't tell me that, because we were kids, so we didn't really think of terms like ghastly figures. Okay. But yeah, like I even told her, it's like the light was obviously shining on us because it always shines on us. It was always a thing. So more ghost stories. Let's see. Do you have any more interesting ghost stories?
I mean, they're not really stories. I would just say they're more like what we were saying, that when we experience little weird things, like say when you're half waking up or half going to sleep. Like there's been so many times where I'm like asleep and then I kind of wake up because I hear something and I envision seeing some shit like on my bed, like a fucking rat or a fucking cat or something on my bed. I don't own a rat or a cat. And I just see it like, fuck, there's something in there. And I like move the blankets and then I just hope it's gone. Or I look to the closet and I see eyes in the closet, but I know it's my mind just saying that or thinking that. And then I just like force myself to go to sleep so I forget about it. And then when I wake up the next morning, it's gone. But that's really mostly it on my part. There's nothing solid and concrete. It's just probably my mind playing tricks on me.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on sleep paralysis? Do you think that's different from ghost, or do you think this is a whole different thing? Like, have you heard any stories of the shadow man and sleep paralysis?
I mean, I don't know about the shadow man, but I would imagine that's like a name for like what some people call sleep paralysis, or like someone who's like the cause of it maybe. But I haven't felt it myself. Like I think the closest thing to sleep paralysis I felt is like in my dreams. I know I'm dreaming, and in my dream I wake up, but I can't move. So I'm like, I see myself in my bed, I see myself laying there, but I can't move. Like I either can't open my eyes, I can't move, and I'm like, okay, this must not be real life because I definitely can't move, and I know I could move, but it's so real, it feels like real life. So it's that, and then I just like give up and I just go back to sleep. So I don't know how much of that is like me being actually awake and I'm actually having sleep paralysis, or if it's just a dream. But that's happened a few times in my life. I don't know what the cause of it is. I don't know if it's like a psychological thing or just a mental thing, or if maybe it is spirits holding us down. Who knows?
Okay, so I sleep paralysis is a big thing for me. There's a point where I felt it a few times, and so I freaked out, so I had to look into it. I don't know if it's related to ghosts or not. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So I was hoping that you had some kind of situation too. So sleep paralysis, what it is that your body actually goes numb when you go to sleep. And whenever you try to wake up, that's where you have that what's known as a sleep kick. So sometimes you wake up by just kicking. It's just your body twitching.
Okay.
And apparently that happens also when you're asleep. So if you don't twitch, that means you're asleep. So your body knows to shut down. So like if you don't move or you don't have any kind of brain function or whatever happens, because the brain's always functioning, but like that, like you don't want to move. So that itchiness or whatever it is, if you don't move, then that means you're asleep. So sleep paralysis is that your body goes numb. So that's why you could be awake with your eyes and be conscious and stuff, but your body still says, I'm asleep.
Okay.
So with sleep paralysis, apparently when you're in that state, you're in between worlds. Now we're getting super paranormal. You're in between worlds. Okay, so like we had a small chat about this before, I think it was a day ago, actually, or 2 days ago, where I believe that most things, because I don't believe in ghosts, most of these things that we see are in between dimensions. Because I don't believe in afterlives or whatever. Before lives obviously exist because we have ancestors, but I don't think of afterlives like we're born again. But I do believe that we're in a plane with something else. So only because we can't see these deep water creatures doesn't mean they don't exist. They're there in our plane. But now imagine in between planes. So now we're wearing 3D glasses. We could see another dimension we didn't see before, or whatever it is. Okay, so when we're in sleep paralysis, I believe that you're seeing in another way that you couldn't see before. That's why, like, a lot of people state that when you're a child, you're more in tune with ghosts. You're more in tune with these things. It's because you're not jaded or you're not expecting so much science. You're not expecting, I need to see to believe. Because a child, you just believe everything. You could just simply see and you're fine. So again, going back to sleep paralysis is that you're actually into the state where you can't do anything. You're forced to just see. You're literally forced to see because you can't move.
Okay.
So the theory there is that there's beings in between worlds, and they've always been there. They're there every day. But because you don't belong there, they're coming for you. I'm not stating that they're trying to kill you. I'm not saying they're trying to greet you. Whatever it is, they're coming for you because they can feel a presence that doesn't belong there. That's it. I never heard of a story where a shadow person reached somebody. Because even with myself, I actually had the situation happen to me. There was a point where I worked 2 jobs at the same time, and I worked they were both full-time jobs. So I worked 2 full-time jobs. And then I was in between houses too. So I remember I went from one of my jobs to my mom's house, and I took a nap on her bed before I went to my other job because I had a key to her house. So I remember I went there. It was daytime too. It was like 3 p.m. or something. And I just took a nap. I was like, okay, I'm asleep for 2 hours. Then I'm gonna head out to my other job. And so I went there, and I knew she wasn't going to be home till like 6 p.m. So like I was like, it's 3 o'clock. I'm good. 2 hours. She won't even know I was here. And I'll leave. So I sleep on her bed. And at one point, I just wake up, and I can't move. I try to speak, and I notice I can't speak. And I kind of start like laughing about it in my brain. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But then I notice myself stand up, sit up on the bed. I get up, I walk to the door, I touch the handle, I'm back in my bed. And I stand up and then go to the door handle, I touch it, now I'm back in bed. And I notice that each time it
keeps on resetting itself almost.
Yeah, but the best part is that actually once, at one point of these, I noticed to look back and I noticed I'm still in bed. So this is like my spirit or my soul or whatever it may be. Is what's touching the door handle. It's not my body. That's still just there with my eyes open, just like wonder what the hell's going on. So that was interesting. But anyways, from there.
Well, for the end of that experience, so when you woke up and was able to actually move again, were you back in bed and then you woke up, or did you were at the door and you're like, oh, I can move again, like I'm back and I'm no longer there? Like, how did you get out of that state?
I was in bed. I was back in bed.
And did you go back to sleep after like seeing that up and down, or you just went back down and you're like, okay, now let's get up?
Totally freaked out. Okay, so what ended up happening was like one of the times where like I kept going, and have you seen Paranormal Activity?
Yeah, I think I've seen the first two for sure.
Okay, so there's a sound every time the Paranormal Activity like once or something starts happening, you hear like a more like it's a very faint sound, but they want to because there's no soundtrack or anything, so it's just faint like vibrating sound, and I started like kind of hearing that. I've never seen the movie before. Well, I didn't see the movie at the time. It was before that time. But like I kind of I heard some kind of vibration in the distance, like dark vibration, very low tone. And then I started seeing like every crease of every wall just get darker. So it starts going like this. And then I started, I think I imagined, because I can't really think of like seeing them. I started imagining people in clothes just coming towards me. Like from Harry Potter, like these weird dementors. Like I started seeing people in cloaks. Like it's not just human-like people like my sister saw, but like cloaky people and just coming towards me. Like they knew something was in their plane that's not supposed to be there. So every time I kept doing that, like over and over, because I kept doing it. I want to say like I did like 16 times. And I kept kind of laughing about it because I thought it was funny. I thought it was interesting. I was tripping out on weed or shrooms or something. Like I just kept like laughing about it. But yeah, and then finally I started getting freaked out, and I'm like, I need to go, and like I started trying to speak in my actual mouth, like my actual person. And I remember there's a point where I started gonna reach for the door, but I just had to go back and just lay down on the bed on myself, and I couldn't get in myself. Like my body was there, and my soul or whatever that was couldn't get inside me. I was like always like shifted differently or something. And I kept trying to do that because I kept trying to get the fuck out of here because I kept hearing the droning sound. It gets louder and things are coming closer. Things are getting darker. Again, it's 3 p.m. It's sunny out. So like I could see the sun. So it just freaked me out more and more. And then finally I just snapped to it and I freaked the fuck out. Once I sat up, I looked straight at the bed and I'm like, okay, it's me. And I stand up and I'm freaking out to touch that door handle. And then finally, when I opened it, I just opened it, kind of stepped back, and I looked. It was a living room. Yeah, it was dark. It was dark in there because the sun was behind me. So it was dark in there. I just turned on the light right away, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm good. And that's my encounter with shadow people, if they exist.
So why do you think that is, or what's the purpose of there being almost like another? You said you were talking about dimensions. Like, what would be the purpose of another version of you, another dimension, coming to quote unquote get you?
I actually don't know because it's like are these guardians of these parallel universes? Like that doesn't make sense. It's not like somebody comes into our land and then now the FBI is here. Like it's just or cops are on you. It's not like they like sense you or anything. So I really don't know. I don't understand it. Like that made no sense to me. Like even to this day, I can't find a sense. So think of it as you currently breathe air. You breathe oxygen. Okay.
Okay.
Then there's things that breathe H2O. Okay. So we're two different things, but we're in the same plane. So in between what is known as vibrations, in between vibrations, there's something else living in between. So imagine wearing special glasses that could see in between, and you're seeing these other things living in the same plane as you, but they don't have the same senses as we do. But we cannot touch them. They cannot touch us. They don't even notice we exist, just like we don't notice they exist. But we're living in the same timeline, in the same world, in the same thing, but just not in the same necessarily plane of dimensions. It's not a separate world. It's not a second Earth. It is
same world, just different entity type of thing.
Yes. Again, best way I could put it is special glasses. You see special glasses, you can see infrared or whatever other thing.
Right. You could see these other entities hypothetically with these glasses.
But nice. Yeah, I'm down for more podcasts. So hopefully people are into. Next one was demons. You said. So
Yeah. Let's do demons and angels next time and touch on that whole realm of heaven and hell and everything. So let's do it. Do you want to close with anything? Do you want to mention anything you're working on? Do you want to shout out anything, tag anything you're working on for the followers and audience to find you on?
So for now, I'm just gonna follow Instagram at the Alexander Void. I hate that is the, but so I'm stuck with the Alexander Void. So follow me in the Alexander Void.
Okay.
I do food reviews on YouTube. Just look up Alexander Void.
Okay.
I don't use Facebook, but I'm there as Alexander Void whenever I do post something.
Okay.
Every 6 months, and that's about it.
But yeah, follow my boy Alexander. And I'm looking forward to future podcasts with us and doing more supernatural stuff with demons and aliens and all that. But I want to thank you again for coming up with this idea and joining the podcast and thinking of some good absinthe for us to get and give me some good recommendations. Jeez, can't even talk again with this absinthe, man. It's fucking strong shit. But yeah, no, thank you, man. And this is Podject Los Angeles. Follow us on YouTube, and I'm gonna have an audio version on Spotify and Apple Music and all that good stuff, just like always. But until next time, brother. It was nice talking to you, and I'll talk to you next time.